And welcome back to part 19.
Feels like we've been going on with this forever.
It has. We started this nearly a year ago, Terra.
Yeah, but then again, to be fair, the release schedule has been kind of spotty.
Our schedules have been kind of spotty, but we're getting through it. We're getting through it.
We are.
You know, if I can talk her into it, we'll have Mrs. Pumphouse come along and do the female voices in the future. I think she's going to be here for a while. We're going to talk her into it.
Oh, that would be nice.
It might be quite fun.
Yeah, to be fair, your female voices,
Yeah.
and mine for that matter, are probably not the best.
No, and they do strain the old vocal cords.
I think the deep voices do it a little bit more for me. I've noticed.
Okay. Oh, what's this? Oh, no, it's just... Okay. Let's check the news.
12 news articles. Wow.
You read the Whole Sword Post. I'll do Swordland today. You read the Radical, and I'll read...
Okay, so I get to read 8 and you get to read 4. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm doing all the manual work here. I'm controlling the mouse, you see.
Oh yeah, and considering your spaghetti noodle arms, I guess that would be quite heavy.
Yeah, I know. You're not wrong.
Okay, so nationalize the Big Four now.
Holy shit.
As the debate about privatization versus nationalization intensifies in the capital, the Holsworth Post firmly believes that the present reign should come down on the side of nationalization for all four so-called big companies, including the currently fully private Heart of Swordland and Burgess Steel. Full nationalization would prevent price gouging and prevent CEOs like Marcel Coronti from consolidating power, but even the government taking minority ownership of both companies would go a long way towards ensuring they act accordingly to state interests. Sorry. Overblown rights case appealed. Today, the politically motivated and controversial court case by Ishaval Ersan has made its way to the Supreme Court to be reviewed. The mayor of Dyer, Felix Braun, well, I can't like that spelling of Felix, has dismissed the presence of systematic racism in the region of Berja and accusations against law enforcement, citing that the Bludish are being influenced by the Bludish Freedom Front, who wishes to radicalize the people for their own dark aims. All eyes are now on Chief Justice Hawker and the Supreme Court to determine if the case has legal grounds or not. Many justices have already come forward to dispute the claim that the Constitution is not being upheld by the state of Swordland when it comes to the treatment of the Bludish people. Kesara raises the Bludish question. Yesterday in the Grand National Assembly, NFP leader Kesara Kibbener proposed a law that would make Swordish the only language accepted in educational institutions, boldly standing up for Swordish culture and tradition. This law, the Unified Education Language Act, is squarely aimed at the Bludish community, which integration in Swordish society has long posed a problem. Educating children solely in the national language of this country will help cement their Swordish identity and quash the threat of Bludish independence in Swordland, said Kibbener in his speech in the Assembly.
Even though that is being proposed by the NFP, it's a reasonable request.
Is it though?
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, you wouldn't teach, you know, like...
Yeah, but I mean, they're basically saying ban every other language except ours.
No, I mean, hang on. So, you know, you got to have like a standard teaching practices. Like, you know, if you went into an American classroom and 90% of the kids there come from Spanish, speaking families, they're not going to teach the kids in Spanish. They're going to teach them in English. They're going to teach them in American English because that's the national language.
Could you scroll up to that article again? Just want to read through one more time.
It's not a bad thing. It might be coming from the Nationalist Party, but it's a fair and reasonable thing, in my opinion.
Okay, so it's educating solely in the official language. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, okay, so in here we speak English, so you don't. We are banning, like, say, Jewish.
If there was a language of Jewish, I mean, Jews speak 4 or 5 different languages. Yiddish, Hebrew, they're all different.
So, Dyer prepares for Day of Dissension. The city of Dyer is busy preparing for the Day of Dissension, the annual celebration of the founding of Nurity. Though religion plays a smaller role in Swedish daily life, than in years past, the day still holds special importance for many Nurists, thousands of whom have already begun undertaking the pilgrimage to the tomb of Saint Dast. The cathedral in which it is located, Dyer's Ark Sanctuary, is currently undergoing renovations set to be completed in time for the festivities. In accordance with presidential tradition, Anton Rain will be making an appearance at the event.
Okay. Swordland today. Privatization, the future of Swordland. Don't let the pro-government elites fool you. Nationalization of Swordland's Big Four corporations would be a disaster for our country. Instead, we advocate for the privatization of state-owned enterprises, Needham Mining and Swedish State Corporation. Both companies have grown sluggish from lack of competition. Even private interests taking a minority stake would lead to greater innovation and a brighter future. Okay, interesting. Creationism or evolution? Rain says both. Under pressure to catch up with the education systems of Arcasia and the United Continental, President Rain decided to enforce the teaching of evolution in public schools. We can expect to see some pushback against this decision, especially in Swordland's rural areas where creationism has long been the default. President Rain did specify that the teaching of creationism will still be allowed, but this may not be enough to mollify religious conservatives. And it will only anger left-wingers who are gunning for creationism to be banned. When refugees fleeing, refugees are fleeing to Sorge's border. Okay. As Welland President Viktor Smolak continues his operation against the Bludish insurgents in his country, a wave of people, Wezek, Sordish and Bludish, have been attempting to flee the conflict and cross the border into Swordland. According to the report from the Alliance of Nations, the situation inside Welland is becoming increasingly complex. Yeah, that sounds like what the UN would say. It's a complex situation. Rather than condemn it, it's just complex, with many different groups and factions entering and leaving the country. The AN report states that international reporters are no longer being allowed inside Welland, and the information from the country has become increasingly difficult to obtain. It also explicitly warns the neighbouring countries of an upcoming refugee crisis. It remains to be seen how Rain and his administration will deal with the influx. Okay, the radical.
Ishaval Erzen is right. The troubling unjustified case of Ishaval Erzen is making its way from the lower courts of the Ministry of Justice and by order to the Supreme Court thereafter. The systematic racism felt around the country seems to know no limits, especially when it comes to the largest minority of our nation. The truth is that the situation is very bleak and the Bludish people demand their long-awaited rights. The Constitution protects the individual rights on paper, but those who uphold and enforce the law pay little attention to such illegalities. It gets even worse when justified legal cases like these are made and appeal to the Supreme Court. The general outcome is always depressingly unjust. Unfortunately, nobody expects otherwise in this case either. Rain's curriculum compromise forces schools to evolve. Slightly. President Rain, perhaps swayed by the valid arguments of Education Minister Kyra Walda, made the decision to make evolution a mandatory part of the public school curriculum. This switch is a huge step forward for Sordland's rural youth, who have long been at an educational disadvantage compared to their urban counterparts. However, in a concession to backwards thinking conservatives, schools will still be allowed to teach creationism alongside evolution. We can only hope students choose to listen to science and ignore the religious propaganda. Inflation effects. Yay. Sordland is suffering under excessive inflation due to the administration's excessive printing of currency to cover the debt gap it finds itself in. This absurd action was taken without calculation the effects it would have on the consumer prices, and thus has resulted in the value of the Swedish rand to drop to its lowest point since the 1928 Civil War. A loaf of bread costs twice as much as before, and the price of water has tripled. It is clear that President Rehn lacks a sensitive economic strategy required to serve the working class.
Ouch.
Yeah. Wessex Bloods seek refuge in Sordland. Bloodthirsty dictator Viktor Smolak is at it again with his endless operations against the so-called terrorists as he keeps carpet bombing villages composed of innocent citizens. Carpet bomb, wow. According to the latest reports, the number of Wessex Bloods displaced by the operation is at least 100,000. They have become refugees, seeking help from nearby countries, stuck in between Rumburg, Lesbia and Sordland. Most of them are choosing our country. We must help these innocent people in the name of humanity, or no one else will. President Rehn has done well with not even accepting a trade deal with a rogue country like Wayland. We all know the saying, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Geopolitical. Thousands protests the new governor of Helgeland. Thousands in Helgeport took to the street to protest the Agnolian government's increasing control over Helgeland's administration following the appointment of a new governor. Demonstrators protested that the Agnolian government's decision to appoint a governor from the Agnolian mainland without holding any local elections on the island. Helgeland's leader, Chancellor Hegel, was quick to condemn the decision. The majority of residents on the island still claim Vosges heritage or have Voslandian ancestry. Experts say that the increasing tensions between Agnolia and Vosgeland prompted the Agnolian authorities to make this decision with an aim to increase their control over the island. Yeah. Ooh.
Lot of fun stuff.
Okay, so we'll go from left to right.
Yeah, why not?
Read the report. Here we go.
Wayland military initiates assaults on targets. Chief of the Armed Forces, Walter Kruger, reported that the Wessex Armed Forces are moving north towards the town of Verna. On their way, many British villages were assaulted, and the initial reports indicate a high death toll. As they are approaching closer to the border, Wessex Army movements will be observed closely. Many displaced refugees from the battles have been seen moving towards the Swedish border.
Ooh. And there's another one.
Wayland operations a mixed success. Wayland President Viktor Smolak is drawing his operation against the British Freedom Front to a close. The consensus is that while Wayland's army went a long way towards neutralizing the British threat, there were many preventable casualties. Furthermore, despite Wayland's best efforts, not all hideouts have been eradicated, and anti-Smolak sentiment is an all-time high among the remaining insurgents.
Right. And then we've got a nice little report in Dyer. Urson versus Sordland case. A landmark court filing has been appealed to the Court of Appeals today and is under review by the Minister of Justice. The lawyer and Bludish civil rights activist Istvan Urson sued the Dyer municipality, led by Felix Bron, for the infringement of the constitutional rights of equality before the law. The case questions the separate legal treatment of the Bludish in Dyer and, by extension, the whole of Bergia. Okay, Now let's see what important decision we have. It's probably going to be a meeting with the Supreme Court, right? Oh.
Maybe.
Oh my god. Okay, read the report from Wholesword. Community Police Update. The Community Police has completed its first round of volunteer training. A total of 800 Agno-Swordish and Bludish citizens from Nargis, Angland and Bergia regions have received lessons in combat, de-escalation, first aid and Swordish law. They have now been deployed to keep watch within their communities. Excellent.
Hey, actually good news for once.
Things are on the up. Perhaps. Language bill prepared by Casaro. Casaro Kibner is preparing a bill about the language in schools. We know about that.
Excluding from...
Yeah, no, we know. Okay. Yes, it's the upcoming vote. I think we should lobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel we might not be in a good place. Okay,
Boom.
she says
We can bribe them. We've got the money to do it.
Then again, that kind of goes against the corruption thing that we said we weren't going to do.
That's true. That's true. But the thing is, if we ain't got no money in our back pocket, then they can't accuse us of just investing for ourselves while the rest of the economy goes to shit.
Yeah, but then again, having money in our own pocket due to private investments is probably something completely different than buying votes for us to stay in power.
That's true. So we won't lobby. We won't lobby MPs with our personal wealth.
No, I don't think...
it includes lavish parties, gifts, and some political favours.
Yeah, exactly. Bribing, gifts.
Do you think we'll have the support for the reforms on our own?
To be fair, I'm not feeling overly confident.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Don't lobby MPs. We're not going to bribe them.
No, I mean we did say we're going to kind of set a premise that would put us in a different light than the previous.
You're right.
More or less dictator.
Okay. No bribery.
So I mean, I might have shot us in the head by going that way, but I mean, at least we go out with a clear conscience, right?
Yeah, that's true. The preparations for the new constitution were nearly complete. Soon we were going to propose it in the National Grand Assembly. A huge step for our administration. But we desperately needed more support. That's why I had invited Franz Richter for a chat about the upcoming vote. He and his party held the key to our success. We met in the presidential office at the end of the day. He arrived in his signature navy blue suit and handed me a box of famous Arcasian chocolates before settling down on the couch. It's good to have you here, Mr. Richter.
Well, what was he gave us last time?
I still
booze, wasn't it?
I don't know. I still think that the whole kind of chocolate thing keeps popping up. I seem to remember it.
Yeah, because I reacted to option number 3. You're a fan of occasion, aren't you? Meaning that he probably gave us occasion something else last time.
Perhaps. But I think maybe if we want to be diplomatic, say it's good to have you here.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, boom.
Likewise, it's nice to finally have some time to talk.
Is that the voice?
It kind of looks like a slimy French. Oh, I'm kind of stereotyping again, aren't I?
Yeah, probably. He took a folder from his briefcase and slipped it open. I could see the scribbles he'd made in the margins of my draft proposal.
I have to say, I am surprised by this proposal you prepared for the new constitution. I really do not understand your reasoning behind some of the changes. Yeah, I kind of thought we were on the same page, because we did leave on amicable terms last time, right?
We did. and on a different voice. Yeah.
Yeah, again, I mean, pretty much all of our characters have changed voices at
They
least
have.
3 times.
Yeah. What's on your mind?
Yeah, let's hear them out before we do anything. Don't get me wrong, I like your draft, as I've already stated. I am just shocked you listen to our demands, decreasing the electoral threshold and the term limits. That's more than we hoped for. How does the USB feel about that, Mr. President? Is it political suicide, or do you actually manage to get a party behind your changes?
Mostly we're in agreement, but there is conservatives in the party that I think led by
Yeah,
the Thatcher type.
I'm a little bit curious why he would care if it's political suicide. I mean, even if it was, he would gain more from it than anyone else.
I think we already know that question. I think we're supposed to be the centrist party. He's more far left. But he obviously doesn't want us to go to the right.
So we're gonna do a little white lie and go number 2.
I'd like to explore number 3 with you. I think.
All right.
Yeah.
I cannot afford to support another set of failed reforms. I am the opposition leader, after all, Mr. President. People expect me to be hard against you.
Yeah.
Sorry. I have been campaigning for the new constitution for years, and I cannot just let it vanish because of Dark Souls party again. No offense intended. Are you aware the old guard has been reaching out to even the BFJP members? I hope you're doing something to contain this mess.
Oh, interesting.
Well, we decide to put up the action against the old guard. So at this time we are pretty much hand tied.
Yeah.
I hope it works out, Mr. President. But even if the changes pass in the Assembly, how are you going to get such anti-Solis proposal past the Supreme Court? See, we have a few connections on the side.
3. If we unite together, the court has to acknowledge the will.
I just want to read the options we have. Trust me, the justices care about money more than anything else. Basically saying, don't worry, I'm going to buy them. If we unite together, they will be forced to support us. Yeah, I'll probably say number 3.
Yeah.
It's the better choice.
Because number 2 is just slanderous and obviously undermines the court.
Yeah, and also he kind of basically says, don't worry, I'm going to buy them.
Yeah. Boom.
I'm not so sure about that. A few justices will sympathize with us, but the ultimate decision will be up to the centrists, and also has them locked up. If we are doing this, we have to make it count. I hope that you will succeed, Miss Suzerain. I respect what you are doing inside the USB. I will do my best to flip the Supreme Court as well. You can count on the PFGP's votes.
Nice.
I just want your promise that you will give us a proper credit and finally do something about the unbalanced representation of your party on state television. For decades, your party has been doing whatever it could to stay in power while keeping the PFJP silenced. If we are to be on the same side, I expect you to finally acknowledge all the wrongs that have been done and act against the solid state apparatus in force.
Jesus.
All right. Well, we are acting against a solid state apparatus. I mean, we did start with the presidential immunity and all that, right?
Hmm.
So basically, we have already started on working against it.
Yeah.
So finally acknowledge all the wrongs that have been done. I'm pretty sure we can do that. Of course, we're in this together. Of course, I can't deny my party's disreputable actions. Do not blame the USP. Sort of has gone through a lot. Let's keep a friendly tone, I guess. Of course, we're in this together.
Although, number one certainly will guarantee his support, but I'm almost tempted to go number 3, because of the matter is saying, the party has been around for a long time. MPs come and go. You can't just pin the problem on the party. And parties change, parties evolve, they adapt. So
yeah, but while Saul was in power, that's when most of the bad things happened.
Yeah, I guess.
So in a way, the party is kind of to blame in a way.
But we're evolving.
We are now, yeah. Or at least we're starting to, at least.
Yeah.
And it is easy to change if we have allies. That's why I'm thinking number 1.
Okay. We'll go number 1 just to get the votes.
That's great to hear. I hope I can rely on you in the upcoming vote. We expect the USB to rally behind your proposal. I can assure you, you will have the BFJP's full support. The USP will not be a problem with your support. These reforms will pass. I'm happy to cooperate with you, Mr. Rector. Don't doubt it. We'll change the Constitution together.
2.
They all sound kind of good.
We'll go 2.
Yeah. That's a small step without putting our foot in our mouth.
Yeah.
Likewise, Mr. Rain. Was there anything else? A few things we heard we can probably take after.
Maybe two's going to be a slip up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure it will probably come up later on in some form or other. So yeah, number 1.
We then shook hands.
It's nice to have a president that we can finally have a dialogue with.
He then laughed.
I'll see you in the history books. Have a nice evening for now.
He then left the room. It's quite ominous. I'll see you in the history books,
Maybe.
For good or for bad. Okay, let's open up. At yesterday's party conference, the PFJP, Franz Richter, announced that he will be giving his full support to the constitutional changes proposed by the USP. He asked the members of his party to follow him in this endeavour and set aside their differences for the greater good of the country. Okay.
Very nice.
Read the news. Swordland today.
Rain.
Oh, I'll read it. You can do the times.
All right.
Rain meets Richter. Swordland today has received an exclusive update about President Rain's constitutional reform process. According to our insider sources, Rain met today with PFJP head Franz Richter in an attempt to secure the party's votes in the assembly. This meeting could be an indication that the president is truly aiming for a democratic reform as opposed to paying lip service or using the opportunity to consolidate his own power. We will know more once the results of the meeting are announced.
Richter bags Rain's reforms. At a party conference today, the PFJP came out in support of Anton Rain's constitutional changes. Leader Franz Richter announced that the proposal President Rain had submitted to them met their party's standards for democratic reform. It's time our parties stand together in order to make changes to our outdated constitution, said Richter, calling his party members to give support to the proposal. Despite a complete show of support from the PFJP members, the group deputy chairwoman, Mrs. Suzerain, protested Richter's call for bipartisanship and blamed the party leadership for handing Swordland to President Rain on a silver platter. She was seen leaving the meeting during Richter's speech in protest. It is unclear whether the draft that will now go before the Assembly is Rain's original one, or if it has been changed with Richter's input. It is also unclear if Mr. Suhail's protest will gather support within the party against the proposal. What is clear is that with the PFJP's votes, Rain's chances for successfully passing the reforms in the Assembly just got a lot higher.
This could be Chapter 3. Hey, it's Chapter 3! Victim of changes. Okay.
We are still in the game. We haven't died.
We have not been assassinated.
Or committed suicide out of shame.
Yeah. Okay. The news. The radical. World ignores the Bluedish plight. Barred from high-paying jobs, discouraged from attending university, spat on in the streets. Where is the outrage against Swordland's relentless oppression of the Bloods? For decades, Bluedish swords have been treated as lesser beings, with the law still allowing rampant discrimination from businesses to educational institutions. We call on the international community to raise awareness of this tragedy so that we can begin promoting equality among all Swordish citizens.
Uh-oh. Valkish man shot after burning Agnolian flag. Wow, this is really starting to kick off, isn't it?
It is.
Alright, so the Helgeland protests that started against the governor who was appointed by the Agnolian government are continuing without slowing down. After the supportive statement by Chancellor Emmerich Hegel, the Valkish protesters assembled in front of the governor's office in Helgeport and waved Valslandian flags. One Valkish protester was photographed as he climbed the flagpole of the governor's office and brought down the Agnolian flag. He was shot by the Agnolian authorities on the island when he attempted to burn the flag with gasoline. Protesters claim he was shot in the neck and was killed immediately on the scene, while the Agnolian government has not released any statement about the subject. The incident sparked further unrest and protests turned into riots around the island. Many Valkish protesters are now calling for Valsland to save them. Chancellor Hegel was quick to respond to the incident, saying Valsland stands together with her people in Helgeland. No regime can murder its citizens because they protested. If this conflict continues, Valsland holds the right to intervene to save her people.
Wow.
Yeah, that escalated quickly.
It did escalate quickly. And we still haven't had like a proper meeting with Valsland yet. It's weird. Suzerain, Bff Recruitment. It is reported that in the villages around Urizen, a group of BFF missionaries are seeking to recruit militants to fight for the BFF. Governor Braun reported that the gendarmerie forces in the area are now actively working towards eliminating the threat. Holy shit. They actually have the gall to cross the border and then try and raise...
Yeah, but who were the BFF again?
The Bluedish Freedom Front.
All right.
Ah, Jesus Christ. Polsword. A call from Marcel Caronti. I was in my office looking through the agenda of the upcoming meeting at the Ministry of Economy. The meeting was going to be about the ownership of the Big Four, the four largest companies in Swordland: Hart Swordland, Berger Steel, Swordish State Corporation, and the Needham Mining Group. Some of these companies were controlled in part or entirely by the state. The others were mostly or completely privatized. I had the power to change that. The phone rang and I put the agenda down. Pick up the phone. Ring, ring, ring. Banana phone.
I'm kind of surprised that there's only one option. Pick up the phone. I mean, it should be two. One, pick up the phone. Two, let it ring a little bit longer.
Yes, yeah, maybe.
Wow, it looks like Frankenstein.
Yeah, this is the guy with... He's like the media mogul or something, isn't he? Yeah, media proprietor, yeah.
Oh yeah, he was the
Yes.
guy that was trying to bribe us regarding something a few sessions ago, right? We
Probably
had a
about
private.
10 sessions ago. Probably about 6 months ago in real time.
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
But we met him at his private residence somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, I believe.
we did.
Okay, so greetings, Mr. President. I'm sorry to disturb you before such an important meeting, but I thought now would be a good time to talk about our arrangement. I'm sure you'll agree that the support I and my network have given your administration has been nothing but beneficial. Half of the non-state media in the country has been sharing positive news about you and downplaying negative events.
Um, partnership
Well, it
has
is
been.
always good to have the media on your side.
Yeah,
That much is a given.
yeah.
I wish I could remember what our arrangement was.
I think it was more or less, I think it was just, keep freedom of the press, right? If we kept freedom of the press and didn't tax some of his other businesses, he'd kind
I
of put in a fair word for us.
I honestly don't remember.
I think that was something along those lines.
So where do you want to go?
Either one or two, but two, he'll just turn around and say, you know,
If you want me to do more for you, it's gonna cost you, kind of thing.
all that, or just be harsh about it and say, well, if you want more praise, you're gonna have to do better.
Yeah, but then again, that kind of goes with number one as well. It's been successful so far. Well, if you want to continue, you're gonna have to do me a few more favors.
Yeah, maybe.
So I'm thinking both one or two are basically the same, as in he wants more favors from the president.
We don't know. We don't know.
And number three is basically, well, I feel sorry you feel that way. In that case, our friendship is over and you're on your own.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you now, whatever increases the budget, we're going for.
So you're taking creative control, you mean?
No, I'm just saying, if we want the economy to at least go up a pip, I think maybe trying to balance out the budget is probably going to be a priority. What do we reckon? One or two?
I would probably say number one, because that feels a little bit more careful.
Yeah.
I'm glad you agree. Your public opinion could have nosedived were it not for us.
Yeah, you're right. I heard him knock on wood.
Oh, on another note, I know it's been a while, but I have to give credit where it's due, or overdue in this case. Your business bailout greatly benefited certain subsidiaries of HOS that we are reporting record losses. We managed to avoid closing those companies, and they satisfied the board of HOS with a high profit report in return.
Well, how about you reinvest some of that into providing jobs? Boom.
Ensuring employment was our primary target. I'm glad to hear that. It was a widely contested decision. Never forget who made that decision.
Oh, yeah, that's three is a good one.
Yeah, number three kind of gives us a possibility to push back a little bit. Like, yeah, but don't step too much on me, kind of thing.
I think three's definitely. I've got the bigger dick.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Well, we might piss him off.
Well, it's time to play hard politics. You know, we've been very loosey goosey.
Yeah, I'm just worried about what his media mogul empire could do to us if we get it on his bad side.
No, I think he'll respect strength. He's a man who probably respects strength, I think.
Maybe. But yeah, for the shits and giggles, let's go number 3. Don't worry, Mr. President. I won't.
He paused for a few seconds.
Out of goodwill, I will share a key piece of information.
Oh, lovely.
The Lotheberg Group has contingency plans if you decide to do anything rash that would disrupt their empire.
Ah, Mr. Tusk. Yeah. Right.
So basically Bilderberg Group.
Suppose.
You can't blame them, can you? Imagine someone trying to take your authority and personal wealth away without your consent. They'll have to deal with whatever I decide is a tough world. We will only ask for a reasonable share, nothing out of the ordinary. I don't see why we should be enemies. So either we continue to stomp with number 1, we keep the status quo as number 2, or number 3, we kind of shrivel up a bit, I guess. Kind of has that feel.
Yeah, I guess. We'll go for 2.
Yeah, because I think the Lotheberg Group might be more of a heavy hitter than Mr. Coranti and his media pals.
Well, Tusk is the mafia dude, right?
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
That is good to hear. If everyone plays their cards right, it will be all fine. Now, let's talk about those cards. Since the start of your campaign, you've wisely committed to a market economy.
Yeah.
Judging by that, I am sure you're looking into privatizing some of the companies that are currently state-owned. I believe, therefore, that privatizing both the Needham Mining Group and the Swordfish State Corporation would be in both of our interests.
I don't know, Terra. I don't know.
After all, I am considering buying stocks in both companies.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Privatizing might be too much. I'll see what I can do. That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm not thinking about privatization. Privatizing companies is not as bad as privatizing education and healthcare.
No, I guess not.
Because many companies actually thrive through privatization and investments and whatnot.
They can do, but equally on the other foot, I mean, hedge funds love to buy things and then gut them and then take the money and
Well, of course. I mean, as long as it makes money, sure, you can exist. But as soon as you
that's true.
turn your nose down, it's gonna be bye-bye.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking number 1. Because it kind of feels like in somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Like we're not promising either way. Think about it this way. It's another step forward in strengthening our economy. Please, at least, think about it.
He then cleared his throat.
I will be blunt. Mr. Tusk is unfit to be the spokesperson for the Lotheberg Group. His archaic thinking has only preserved a status quo that benefits himself and precious few others.
Yeah, I'd have to say that's right. He's a bit of a mafia guy, isn't he? Yeah, that guy.
That guy. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. It is high time for something changed. So, what do you have in mind to replace him? I see where this is going. It's not before anything else. I want meddling oligarchs' affairs. I'm kind of curious who he has in mind, to be honest.
Probably himself.
I'm not quite sure, because he feels like more power behind the throne kind of guy.
Yeah, or he'll stick the guy from the Swordland Corporation Board, or whatever the fuck he was.
Maybe. Who do you think?
Yeah.
Me, of course. Here is what I propose, a win-win situation. If you promised me a majority of shares from the privatization, he would lose considerable power, which means I could take over. You may recall that one of the terms of our agreement was that I may ask you for one favor. Well, this is it. Do you accept?
Whew. Number one, say, we'll think about it. And then he'll just go, well, I'm sure you'll make the right choice.
Yeah, because
Well,
think about it isn't a direct no.
exactly. But you can pretty much guarantee that after this conversation is over, the secretary's going to walk in with a disappointed look on her face.
Think so?
I'll put money on it. So
Yeah, number one is tiptoeing the line, but not stepping in either yes or no direction. So yeah.
Yeah.
Think about all the free help you've gotten from me, and the many scandals you might have to cover up on the way to the election. Well then, I have taken up enough of your time today. This has been a productive call. Thank you for your time, Mr. President.
Goodbye, Mr. Caronti.
Yep.
Well,
Because we are not on first name basis.
after a couple of minutes, I went back to reviewing the agenda. Okay, no one came in. Alright. Okay, let's go down to Urizen. Illegal crossings rise at the Welland border. Border police have reported an increase in the number of arrests as Bludish and Welzek refugees attempt to enter the country from Welland. Without legal documents, of course. However, due to our relaxed immigration policy, a large majority of skilled and educated workers had been accepted. However, it is unsure if they had any history of crime and violence. Yeah. All sorts. Here we go. Requested meeting of Lucian Galade. Lucian scheduled some time with me to discuss the potential political repercussions of the upcoming economy meeting. He arrived on time as usual and took his seat right across from me. My consigliere, what's going on? Good morning, Mr. President. Lucian had dark circles around his eyes. He's been working hard. The plethora of political developments must have been weighing even on a workaholic like himself.
You look at, yeah, exactly. Let's show that we actually care.
I am trying, sir.
Don't put yourself too much. We kind of need you sharp.
Yeah, I guess. I will try not to. I must say, you don't look much better. I looked at myself in a small hand mirror. Similar circles were beneath my eyes as well. I booked some time of your time to pre-plan for today's meeting at the Ministry of the Economy. We need to be cautious. Any grand plans about the economy so heavily influence our political standing. We would be changing our relationship with the old guard, the oligarchs, and the opposition. As you know, this meeting will give you the opportunity to alter the ownership of the Big Four, the largest corporations in all of Swordland. We can start the process of nationalization or privatization, or we can just keep the status quo. Again, I remind you that any change will tip an already fragile balance. I personally think we should stay out of this and keep things as they are. There is no need to make new political enemies at this stage in our term. But ultimately, the decision shall be yours. What are you leaning towards? How should we move forward?
Okay, so it didn't take very long for this decision to pop up again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so nationalizing is probably not a good thing because that's most likely going to be an even heavy burden on our economy already.
But you say that, but
well,
it could mean money in the coffers.
Yeah, nationalizing is probably going to take a longer time before the economy does an upturn. If we privatize, it might be an immediate upturn, but other consequences down the road.
Yeah.
So do we have a good feeling about at least keeping the economy as it is and not go even further down if we nationalize?
We're already on the downtrend.
Or do we keep it as it is and hope it won't just die on us? Because, I mean, nationalize is probably a net gain in the long run.
Yeah.
While privatizing is a short-term gain for possible negative repercussions further down the line.
Okay. Status quo is very attractive.
Well, it did say that it is a very fragile balance.
It is. If we nationalize the companies, it could mean money in the coffers. However, there's also a chance that the economy minister will turn around and say, these companies, they're so inefficient, we're going to need more money out of the budget to modernize them.
Yeah,
if
but also
privatize, that modernization will come out of the pocket of the companies. Or they'll just say, yep, it's a hedge fund, snatch and grab and sell everything, and then we won't have anything. So,
and also nationalizing is probably gonna piss Mr. Coronti off like nothing else.
Yeah,
because he did ask as the favor we owed him to privatize.
Oh. I think maybe
I kind of feel that we should stay status quo until we get the economy up again.
Lucian hasn't necessarily let us down.
He has not, no.
Although but then again, we are at -3.
But then again, he hasn't given us his personal view on it either.
But his personal view doesn't matter. He's a facts and figures man.
Yeah, but I mean, he can also, but he could figure out a personal opinion based on facts and figures. But since he's only given us the facts, so we are, it is basically up to us. So I would probably say that we keep the status quo, because keeping the status quo probably not piss off Coronti as much as it would if we nationalized them.
Yeah, and he's just bought a load of stocks that are probably just going to be sitting there and not making him those returns. But yeah, sure.
I mean, small gains is still better than no gain. So he probably wouldn't complain too much as it is anyway.
I suppose not. Excellent. That is the safest way to victory. Lucian took the note in his notebook. Okay. Although I think the oligarchs would have liked us to privatize everything, maintaining the status quo will not disturb our relationship with them. This means more stability, both economically and politically. Speaking of stability, some of my connections indicate that there seems to be a contest of leadership in the Lothberg group. It looks like Marcel Caronti is making moves to become the key figure. Caronti probably wants his father's seat as head of the group, and Tusk doesn't want to let go of it. It's a significant power struggle, considering there are heads of Swordland's two largest private corporations. Another reason why I'm supporting your decision to leave the situation is as it is. There is no reason for us to interfere, directly or indirectly, in their internal struggles. Did Marcel or Tusk contact you? Let's be truthful. Let's be truthful to our conciliary.
Yes.
What did he ask for?
He wanted to make a deal to leave HOS untouched.
Well, that would be a lie.
Would it?
Yeah, because he wanted us to privatize everything. Didn't he?
Check the info page about HOS. I kind of want to make sure that we don't get anything wrong here.
Hang on. Where's the journal codex? Walter Tusk. Load the bird group.
Can I roll up, perhaps?
Okay, and he operates
Okay.
HOS. Yeah, okay. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, that would be a lie because that's not what the telephone conversation was about.
See, he is the chairman of HOS conglomerate.
Yeah.
Because what he wanted was to privatize the Big Four.
Yeah.
And HOS is advertising.
Yeah, media.
So not the industrial things that he wanted to privatize.
Yeah.
So if we would privatize, that would make him both media and industrial magnate,
Yes.
which could be extremely dangerous.
Could well be, yeah.
So I kind of feel we dodged a bullet on that one.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, if we say 1, it's a lie. 2, it's a lie. 3, we don't get his advice anyway. So...
Yeah, number 2 then.
Well, no, because that's a lie. Like...
Yeah, but then again, we didn't agree to anything in particular.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. Not involving ourselves in the oligarch's business will save us from potential headaches. At any rate, this internal conflict among the oligarchs puts us at an interesting position. Our relationship with Walter Tusk hasn't been good so far. Any move we make now has to be calculated and thought through. Lucian looked at his watch. Very well then, I'll cancel the meeting since we are not taking any actions. I must get back to work. I'm glad you have made this decision. Thank you for your time, sir. Lucian got up from his chair and left the office. Right, okay. Geopolitical. Tensions keep rising in the Markian Sea. According to reports from the Agnolian government, the Valslandian fleet has been patrolling the Markian Sea, was directly responsible for the disappearance of 2 fishing vessels, a drilling ship and an oil tanker that belonged to Agnolia. Oh dear. Prime Minister Van Horten called the Alliance of Nations to investigate the incidents. Prime Minister Van Horten condemned Chancellor Hegel in his speech yesterday, saying that the Chancellor is trying to imprison us in our own homes with this show of strength. But he should know Agnolians are not scared. We are always ready to fight for our home. It's going to kick off. It's going to kick off.
It is getting closer and closer, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, read the report from Avery. Okay, yeah. Again, yeah. Swordland standing on the sideline. Valsland's increased navy activities in the Markian Sea are heightening a standoff between the two nations and sharpening their rivalry for each other. Yeah. Luckily we didn't build that port, eh?
Yeah, I kind of am starting to feel the same.
Okay. Unified Education Language Act. Sign.
Wait. Always read through what it says. The UALA passes the following into laws. Section 1 enforces that the educational institutions of Sweden will teach all classes, except for foreign languages, in the official language of the country, unless they are given specific approval by the Ministry of Education. Universities, technical colleges, and other schools that provide classes in any language other than Swedish will receive a suspension of operations until they apply for the approval process. Okay. Section 2 enforces the law through defunding penalties of total shutdowns of schools. Okay, so as long as they apply and get approved for it, there shouldn't be any problems. And they are teaching the Swedish. We teach all classes except for foreign languages.
Yeah.
Okay, so no languages are being barred.
Yeah, exactly. So just sign it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Excellent. Results of the economic direction.
Am I the only one that every time we make a decision, look up to the economy like, okay, so it hasn't gone down yet?
Yeah.
Oh, Tusk, you ass.
Livia intercepted me in front of my office and informed me that I had a call from Walter Tusk. I entered and picked up the phone. What do I owe the pleasure, Mr. Tusk? Yeah. Good afternoon, Mr. President. I heard some disturbing news, I did. News about a deal between you and Marcel Caronti. Where did you hear that? There is no such thing. There's no deal.
Yeah. Well, we didn't make a deal. We kept us neutral.
Yeah.
So technically, there is no such thing because we didn't make a deal.
Yeah. But again, where did he hear it?
No, that kind of indicates that it is true.
Yeah. Okay, there's no such thing. So you say. Listen to me carefully now, Rain. I suppressed those rumours for you. For now. They will stay that way if you do what I say. Ooh.
Yeah, number 2, I would say. Because number 1 is might be a little bit too aggressive pushback.
Perhaps.
Number 1's basically, oh, well, so you say, but there is no proof. There is no anything. So where are you getting this from?
Yeah. Okay, we'll go for number 2. Let me tell you what I want first, and I will let you decide. That damn boy, Marcel Caronti. I want him out of the equation. I found some evidence linking him to the Carinelli cartel, a powerful crime syndicate. What I want from you is simple. I will feed the information to the officials. I want you to start an investigation into Heart of Swordland. That's all I ask. That's not too much to ask, right? Is the information about the cartel ties verified? I guess that will be our job to do.
That kind of depends, because that kind of feels like we're going along with it, because if we're going to stay neutral and stay out of this altogether, I'll probably say...
Yeah, but at the same time, you say, well, you know, what's your source? What's your source of this information? Where did you get it from? Yeah, I mean, that's a fairly reasonable question.
That is true, I guess. Because we're not going to start any kind of investigation on false rumors or information.
Let's do number 1.
Sure.
I would tell you that if that wasn't the case. Heed my words, Mr. President. If you want to keep being one. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay,
Well,
so
it's
so is it verified? Yeah, it is, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, the whole sword post. After you.
Police launched successful raids. Earlier this week, the police launched raids on shops and warehouses in Arbory City and Estor City. Their operations are reported to confiscate more than 2,000 illegal firearms and drugs. The captain of the police force in charge of these raids has released a statement saying that the shops are from the two notorious crime families, the Skinners and the Coronella family. These operations were only possible due to law enforcement budget increase. It has allowed us to launch investigations of the local police, purging the corrupted ones and getting information about their networks, said the Ministry of Interior. It appears that thanks to President Anton, law and order will soon come back to shore. Hey, positive news.
Yeah, so... Well, perhaps. Perhaps.
It was just a report as of now. But
yeah.
Maybe it'll show up at the end of term kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, whole sword. Assembly vote on the constitutional changes. Oh my goodness. It's squeaky bum time. Presidential state car. Road to the Grand National Assembly. Sergei was driving me towards the Grand National Assembly for today's historic vote. It was a big day. I wondered whether my attempt at changing the constitution would end any differently than Alfonso's. I looked out the window as the noise of the city diminished and saw that we were already inside the palace complex. The complex housed the buildings of all the government branches in the centre of Holsword. It was one of the biggest developments in Swordland. The Maroon Palace stood on a small hilltop surrounded by trees. We passed by the palace and entered the forest that separated it from the Grand National Assembly. We drove on the small road that wound through the forest. It was a warm day, so I rolled down the window. I could hear birds singing from the trees. Are you okay back there, Mr. President?
Hey, Sergey. How you doing? I think it's no lie to say we're stressed.
Yeah. I'm sure it's going to work out fine, Mr. President. Don't stress yourself. Sergei made a left turn out of the forest and entered the vast garden area of the assembly. Did you know that Mr. Tarquin's soul came to Holsword this morning? I heard some politicians talking about it today. Apparently this is the first time he's come to the city in the last 5 years, Mr. President.
He hears a lot of things from being our driver.
He does. I thought he left the mainland and lived on Douro Island, never to return back to politics. But they were saying he might be here to exercise his Member of Honor rights for the first time. Oh no. Oh dear.
Yeah, exactly. Who was talking about this?
I overheard several men talking about it around the gardens of the assembly. Sir, I'm not sure who they are. It could just be rumors, of course. Do you think he's here about today's vote? Well, he wouldn't be here to fucking try the ice cream, Sergey. Jesus Christ.
Most likely.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he will support you, sir.
We'll learn soon enough.
Sergey drove inside the gates at the parkway and parked the car. We have arrived, sir. Thank you, Sergey. Of course, Mr. President. Good luck with the vote. I walked up the white stone stairs of the Grand National Assembly. The entrance looked like a temple gate from the classical era. The door opened to reveal vast corridors of wood and white stone. I joined the crowd of people who were walking slowly towards the parliamentary hall. Suddenly, I noticed Lucian emerge from the crowd of packed politicians in front of me. He looked relieved when he saw me. "Ah, sir, have you seen Vice President Vectern? He's nowhere to be found. He's probably shagging."
Yeah, he's either that or drunk out of his mind.
Yeah.
I've just arrived here, so let's just, as I said, let's just keep it honest.
Yeah. "I hope Mr. Vectern arrives soon too. At any rate, how about yourself? Are you ready to finally face the assembly, sir?"
As ready as I have ever been, I guess.
Yeah. Let's confide in him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
"We'll address that later, sir. Come, we must go inside." Oh, okay. We followed the crowd into the parliamentary hall. After we were inside, Lucian and I separated to take our assigned seats. I went up to the mezzanine overlooking the hall and sat down. I waited as PMs took their places inside the hall one by one. After a while, I saw Gloria walk to her elevated seat at the center of the hall. "Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We will shortly begin today's agenda with the USP's proposed changes to the Constitution of Swordland." After a short while, everybody was in their seats. "According to the current Constitution, constitutional amendments require a 2/3 majority in order to reach Assembly approval. If the vote succeeds, the proposal will be sent to the Supreme Court. The proposal in question includes these points." She started reading the proposal to the Assembly. "First section of the changes, Article 57, is modified with the following." She continued reading the proposal, highlighting each section. "Section 2, paragraph 36. She went on. "May not exercise his right to," and on and on. "The justices of the Supreme Court." Most of the MPs seemed like they were already falling asleep. "A simple majority is considered." The seat was really hurting my back. "Section 4, paragraph 44A. It felt like an eternity had passed. Finally, she finished reading the changes. "I hereby invite all of you to carry out your vote." She struck her gavel down. A loud bang made some MPs jump in the shock as they woke from their deep sleep of boredom. "As I previously stated, it will require 2/3 majority in order to pass. You may now cast your votes." I felt the need to stand up and stretch. I looked down at the hall from the platform that I was seated on. Some Assembly members immediately walked to the ballot box and cast their votes. Most of them, however, began to congregate in groups around the hall, discussing the changes.
I kind of say we sit down and keep watching. Because shouting for democracy is kind of cheesy.
Yeah, maybe.
And I'm expecting your votes is a little bit do as I say or you're out.
Yeah.
And go down to the hall where all the MPs are.
Sit back down and keep watching is very, very much
yeah, but I mean, what
dramatic.
else can you do? What else can you do? I mean, you can't go down and start changing their minds.
Well, you might be able to. Number one might be last-ditch effort to try and get 3 or 4 signatures. That could be all that it takes. Perhaps going down there.
All right, let's try it.
Yeah. Last-minute lobbying. Here we go. I descended from the mezzanine down to the hall. As soon as I reached the bottom of the stairs, Kazaro Kibner approached me.
Mr. President, how are you feeling about the vote? Hoping for the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
The best outcome to this proposal is failure. I have lost my respect for you, Mr. Rain. So many problems in Sorland that must be addressed, and yet you insist on stalling us with your democratic reforms. I know you will fail. You will lose the game, and so will your entire administration. I hope to be there when it happens.
Keep hyper, Mr. Kibner.
Yeah, I have that number 2, but yeah. They both work in my mind.
Yeah. He laughed. He abruptly turned away from me and walked towards his seat.
I swish my cap at you.
Yeah. Then I saw Lucian waving at me. He was among a group of people in the corner of the hall. I walked up to him. On my way, I bumped into Mansoon Lecky.
Mr. President, I'm sorry I did not see you there. I wish you good luck with the vote.
He is an independent MP. He gave me a cold stare.
Excuse me.
He straightened his tie and walked away. I finally reached Lucian, by now deep in conversation with another member of our party. He excused himself and turned towards me. Sir, did you vote yet? We have to be quick.
No, let's vote.
Let's do it. I signed my vote and prepared the envelope. Together, Lucian and I walked to the centre of the hall and cast our votes. He kept rushing me throughout the process. Gloria bowed her head slightly in respect as she saw us vote. Lucian pulled on my arm and whispered in my ear, Mr. President, we may have a problem. Tarquin Sol is here. Yes, I know. That's why I was trying to fucking tell you, outside.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. You have to accelerate the voting process. We need everybody to vote as soon as possible. We don't know what he's capable of right now, but if assembly members see him, he might influence them against the proposal. Should I talk to him now that I voted? I can talk to him and distract him.
Yeah, stall him out in the hallway.
Yeah. Boom, let's do it. I would advise against that now. The assembly must focus on the vote. Any confrontation between the two of you would draw their attention away.
But since any noise will make us right one further, don't ask what speed of the line. Shout at the assembly from the center of the hall. Yeah, I think number 2 would probably be best.
Yeah. I can't do that, Mr. President. Don't worry. There is already a time limit and we are abiding by the rules. Assembly members are used to this process. Suddenly Lucian pulled me aside. Sir, what do we do? Oh no, he's panicking. Don't panic, my right-hand man. He pointed at the back of the assembly near one of the exits.
It's been a rock up until this time.
Pull the fire alarm! I followed his finger to see Tarquin Sol sitting there. He looked much older than he had 5 years ago, but I could tell he had the same fire in him. Some MPs had already gathered around him and were chattering in awe.
Crap has already been seen.
Yeah, the assembly gradually went quiet as people started to notice Sol's presence in the hall. I'll go talk to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
We should refrain from giving him the spotlight he expects. Maybe you can address him after the vote. No, Lucian, we need to talk to him now. As I was talking to Lucian, I spotted Kizaru Kibner walking to the back towards the hall. Yeah, we have to do it before he gets there. He bowed in front of Sol and gave him a military salute. Seeing this, more people started to approach him. Suddenly, Gloria came up behind me. Gentlemen, we don't... Why don't you go back to your seats? Let's follow the procedure. Oh, by the way, we have 251 members today. As you can see, the member of honor is here. He has already cast his vote. Has he now? So, Mrs. Tory, how many votes are missing? Only a few. Alvin Clavin and 3 other men approached us with envelopes in their hands. And these must be them.
Good day to you, gentlemen, Madam Speaker.
Good day,
Good day,
Mr. Good.
Yeah. Let's keep a good and positive attitude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to take up so long, Mr. President. There was a friend who needed more clarification for his vote.
He gestured at the men behind him.
Let's get this over with, gentlemen.
They went ahead and cast their votes.
Let's win this, Mr. President.
He walked to his seat with a fist in the air. Now, why don't you go back to your seats as well? Very well, we shall. We both went back to our seats. When I returned back to the mezzanine, I saw Peter sitting on the chair next to mine.
Have you been? Yeah, I think
one.
I kind of
two,
feel like
two.
I would cast. Yeah, exactly. I would cast you both because that's pretty important.
Right, good.
Okay.
He says yes, of course. Boom. Okay. He looked at Gloria as she and her assistants counted the votes. The speaker's seat was only a few meters away from our platform.
I really hope this proposal goes through.
I hope so too, Peter. Did you bring any whiskey?
He's probably already drunk. Let's see.
He tried to get Gloria's attention by waving at her.
How many votes left?
Gloria looked at Peter. She looked annoyed. 117 ayes. 50 more votes to count. Peter turned to me.
What? 50 votes left and with still 49 more eyes. Shit.
Let's hope. If only Slim.
I don't think it's gonna pass, but yeah, here's hope. Come on.
Peter looked uneasy. Peter pointed at where Franz Richter was sitting.
Look at Franz over there. I'm sure he was behind this mess. You shouldn't have trusted him.
Don't jump to conclusions.
Yeah. Well,
A single bang from Gloria's gavel reverberated across the hall. Everyone felt silent. The voting has been concluded.
why am I so fucking stressed about this?
I lean forward to hear the results. The proposal. Oh shit! Oh, no. The proposal has 122 ayes and 129 nays. It did not even reach the number of signatures that supported it. Wow. Thereby, the Grand National Assembly has decisively rejected the changes to the Constitution. The Assembly was roaring with all kinds of different reactions. I felt destroyed. I lowered my head and closed my eyes for a second.
God. I'm sorry.
We'll find another plan.
Yeah.
MPs kept shouting in the hall. Among them, I heard Franz Richter's voice.
I blame the president for this result. He and his party's weak attitude towards a real change doomed him from the start.
You son of a bitch.
He's, just like his predecessors, enjoying the privilege of the presidency while ignoring the responsibility that comes with it. It's time to realize that real change will only come from real reformists. The People's Freedom and Justice Party will keep leading this
Son of a bitch! What? The reformist MP started applauding him. Suddenly I noticed Tarquin's soul slowly rising from his seat at the back. He seemed to be struggling and used his cane for help. He stood and gazed around the hall as all of the members of the Grand National Assembly went silent.
Yeah, just keep watching.
He walked out the exit as 2 of his guards held the doors for him.
Thank God he didn't do anything. Soul or no soul, we're definitely fucked. Neither the party nor the public is going to be pleased.
Yeah, well, we're still in power for now.
Yeah, exactly, for now. It's hard to be in charge without any support. Well, let's see what happens. We need to hold an emergency meeting to plan our next moves.
We both looked down at the floor for a while. After regathering our thoughts, Peter and I walked out of the assembly hall. We waited for Sergei by the entrance. So close, but yet so far.
Well, it wasn't close, was it? We needed 250, I believe.
Yeah, but it was the fact that, we didn't even get the signatures that originally supported the motion.
Yeah.
That sucks. The PFJP stabbed us in the back. I wonder what we could have done to get him on side. Maybe it's the economy.
Maybe.
The Assembly voted against constitutional changes. The Grand National Assembly of Swordland on Friday rejected the appointments, or the amendments rather, to the Constitution that was proposed by the United Swordland Party. I officially announced the rejection of the constitutional amendments, said Speaker Gloria Tory, after the proposal was rejected in a public session. According to Tory, 122 lawmakers voted in favour of the amendments, failing to reach the 166 threshold. Only one member of the Assembly abstained from the voting in the session, attended by 251 members of the 250-seat Parliament. Including President Rain and Member of Honour Tarquin Sol, the proposal didn't even get votes from the 150 people who signed it in the first place, said Tory after the results. That's a terrible defeat.
Yeah, that hurt.
Yeah, the radical.
Constitutional proposal rejected by this. Count us unsurprised. Thanks to heavy opposition and a special appearance from Old Man Tarquin Sol himself, President Rain couldn't manage to get his constitutional reforms past the Assembly. We've been advocating for change to Sol's dusty constitution for ages, although it's doubtful that the changes Rain was advocating were the same as those we had in mind. Still, the failure is discouraging. Rain's reforms in the wastebasket and his reputation similarly thrashed. Nobody else is likely to try and change the Constitution for years to come.
Sound of defeat. Ugh. Well, what will President Rain and his drunken monkey Peter get up to next?
Well, definitely drinking this evening, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, find out next time as we go into episode 20 of Suzerain. Bye for now.
It's been a while since I felt this dejected by a game.
This is why we play him, Terra. This is why we play him.